All right, guys. So we are going to review just like what we did the other day. Okay. So Friday we read this nonfiction, remember, about strange plants?
Yeah.
And I loved what you did with our annotating, and we highlighted, and we talked about bold words. What was that? Just kidding. Oh, that was seconds. All right. So we had bold words. We talked about how nonfiction has, like, this tells you at the top. If you hadn't read that, you wouldn't know it was a guidebook. Now, this isn't a whole guidebook, right? It's just a piece of a guidebook. And also how it's important to pay attention to the bold words, the labels, all those different text features that we talked about. And even the captions, right? Because everything in nonfiction can tell you something, and I want you to be very careful with that. And I loved how y'all did your In My Opinions. I read them this weekend. I loved your, I don't know, but I loved your opinion. I loved your opinions. I loved your opinions on what you learned from that. Okay, so today we are going to focus on noticing what repeats, okay? Now the point of this is that that's going to help us figure out what the main idea is. What did we say? Manuel? Emma, are you ready? Okay, so we've talked a lot about main idea. It's also in fiction, we've called it the central message, right? And all it is a fancy word for saying the main thing the story is about. So today we are going to focus on the notice what repeats. Does everybody know what repeats mean? Says it over and over again. So to figure out what a book is mostly about, it helps to pay attention to the words that you see over and over. Okay, that if it's nonfiction, Manuel, that includes even looking in the captions and stuff, right? The captions, the topic headings, the bold words. So we want to pay attention to the word or words you see over and over again, which is just a fancy word for repeat. And because the prefix re means to over and over, right? So it repeats. So today, as we read this nonfiction passage called What Do Plants Need?, I want you to pay attention to what repeats and think, does this word or words tell me what this article is mostly about, okay? So to remind you, you each have, what does it say here? Notice what repeats. Notice is just a fancy word for pay attention. Now these are sticky notes. These are sticky notes. So if you see a word and you see it repeating over and over, you can peel off a sticky note and kind of put it beside it to remind you that that repeats. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay, what else helps us figure out the main idea? The title. What is the title of this? What do plants need? All right, so let's start reading. Plants, I want to hear everyone, please. Plants are living things. They depend on water and light to help them grow. But how do plants find what they need? They get it from the world around them. Plants get water from soil. They get light from the sun. Okay, stop right there. Have you seen anything that you feel like repeats? You do not need to look at anybody else. You need to look at yours. So far, have you seen a word that you've seen more than once? Including, don't forget the title. What do plants need? Because that means that is the question we are trying to answer here. All right, you ready? Let's go down to the next paragraph. It starts with what word? Many. It starts with the word many, right? And if you know the word any, then you can read many. Many means more than one, right? All right, so many plants have roots and stems. Roots and stems and leaves. Roots keep a plant attached to the soil and help the plant take in water. Water moves up the plant stem to the leaves. The stem also supports the plant so it stays straight. That means upright, right? Leaves take in light energy from the what? Sun. If you can't answer that, it means you're not following along, right? Light energy from the sun. The leaves use water, light energy, and a gas called carbon dioxide to make glucose. Glucose is a kind of sugar. It is in food for the plant. Yes, plants make their own food. They use it to what, guys? They use it to grow. Does it say grow up or does it say grow? Okay, so what is the title of this? Remind me. What do plants do or need? I'm sorry, what do plants need? Okay, so everybody look at your infer sheet there. And this is your infer. What does it mean to infer? Does anybody remember? It means you kind of got to be a reading detective. It may not tell you exactly, but you have to be a reading detective. Does noticing what repeats help you be a reading detective? Yes. Did anybody notice something that repeated? Because what did we say? The main idea. The title helps us. Sometimes captions can help us. Yes, the first and last paragraph a lot of times will summarize and give us a clue to what this is about. So Ms. Quinn, why do you think Ms. Quinn gives you a variety of strategies to try? Because something might work for you, right? Emma, something might work for you that might not work for someone else. And sometimes one strategy, depending on the passage, might work better for you, right? You want to be flexible. So, did anybody label or notice a word that repeated a lot? Plants and needs. She said plants and needs. All right, so let's watch those. Let's write those two down. Plants and needs. Arye, did you feel like those repeated also? Let me get us a good pen. Arye, what did you mark here? You have plants or living things, right? So she feels like the word plants was repeated and needs. Anybody else? Manuel?
Plants make their own food.
Okay.
To grow up.
Okay. Did you see grow more than once? I see grow more than once. I see grow at least twice. Okay, let's say grow. What about you? You saw grow, so let's put a leaves. Okay, I'm going to put a check by grow though because you saw grow too. Arye, did you see grow more than once? I see it right there and I see it right there, so that's at least twice, right? I'm going to put check by that for you. What about this word? What is that word? Food. Do you see food more than once, Arye? Yeah, food has that O in it that we talk about that's making the ooh like boo, right? Okay. And then what about soil? Did we see soil more than once? I see soil at least. Oh man, we have a lot of words that repeat. This might not be that easy. Huh. I saw stem and stems repeat too. This might not be as easy as we thought, huh? Okay, so the things we saw repeat the most were plants, Arye, needs, grow, Ellie, we're done with that part right now, okay? Leaves, food, soil, stem. All important things for plants, right? All important.
Depend.
Huh?
Depend.
Depend, so they depend on it. Okay, so let's review what we can try to help us. It says mark an important sentence. What do you think? Now, is the important sentence when it comes to main idea probably going to be in the first or last paragraph?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you think? Use one of your stickies and mark what you think is the most important sentence.
I already marked it with the other one.
Okay. Have you marked the sentence you think is the most important? You have, Ellie? Ellie, what do you think is the most important sentence? Read it to me. Emma. Emma, what is the most important sentence?
Many plants have roots, stems, and leaves.
Okay, I said one sentence. Okay, so she says that she feels like many plants have roots, stems, and leaves. Okay, let's go back to the title. What is the title? What do plants need? What does it mean to need something?
You have to have it, but it's like
You have to have it. There's a difference between needs and wants, right?
If you want it, it's not something that you really have to have.
Right, but if we need it, like it's not like that next toy, right? It's not like that next toy. But to live, do we need water?
Yeah.
What do you think plants are like us in that way and they need water to live? Okay, I love what Emma said.
I got another
But do we think that's the most important thing this is about? Because does it answer the question, what do plants need? Okay, so now look down here. It says number 2, ask a why question about the sentence. So Emma, let's ask the why question. Why, where's the sentence? Why do plants have roots, stems, and leaves? So is that a need or is that a part of the plant? Okay, so let's dig a little deeper. So where do I tell you the most important sentence is probably going to be? The first or the last paragraph? Okay, so the answer is, the question is, what do plants need? So we know we have to answer that question and we know it's the title, so we know it's going to be important. Manuel, what do you think?
They depend on water, light to help them grow.
Okay.
Water and light.
Water and light. Okay. And then Aryeh, he labeled down here, yes, plants make their own food and they use it to grow. Okay. So it says our sentence starts out with plants are living things right here. Plants are living things, and the last sentence says that they depend on water. It says they depend on water and light to help them grow, but how do plants find what they need? They get it from the world around them. Okay, so what do they need to survive? Does anybody know what they need to survive? They need water and sunlight. Soil.
And air.
Okay, and air. Look at the last paragraph for me. Look at the last paragraph. Leaves. Wait 1 second, Emma. Leaves take in light energy from the sun. The leaves use water, light energy, and a gas called carbon dioxide to make glucose. Glucose is a kind of sugar. It is a food for the plants. Yes, plants make their own food. They use it to grow. So it says that they take light energy from the what? They need light energy to make their own food. So they take it from the what?
Sun.
So do they need sun? Yes. So they need sun. Okay?
Light.
They depend on water and light to help them grow.
Water and soil is a need.
You think soil's a need too?
Yeah.
Do you think they can grow without soil?
No.
Yes, ma'am.
They also need carbon dioxide.
Okay, carbon dioxide is a gas, and it says the leaves use water, light energy, and a gas called carbon dioxide. So do you think if they don't have the carbon dioxide, can we see gases?
No.
No, there's solids, liquids, and gases. We cannot see carbon dioxide, but it is in the air. Okay, and we said they need soil. Do we see soil a lot of times in this thing?
Yeah.
Yes, we saw soil a lot. We saw
so they need
water.
soil.
Yep. Now, I do like what Emma said, because she said that they have she mentioned that they have the roots, stems, and leaves. Are these all parts of the plant that are going to help them take in the things that they need? Yes, they are all parts of the plant that are going to help them take in what they need. So we think that they need sun, water, carbon dioxide, and soil. So water would be our liquid, carbon dioxide is
Gas.
our gas, soil is a solid, sun, I mean, that's light energy. They're getting the heat from the sun, so I don't know that that would be considered a solid or a liquid. So, with that being said, if you had to tell me what you think the main idea of this passage was, what would you say, Manuel?
Plants need
What plants need to
Yeah.
what?
grow.
To grow, not only grow, but to survive,
Survive.
right? Because if they can't survive, now will they die eventually? Yes,
Yeah.
we've talked about the life cycle, right? The plant has a life cycle just like we do. But this one tells us what they need to survive, and they need these things or they will not be able to grow and thrive. Does anybody have any questions? Now, is this something that we can actually use in class
Yes.
or use on when we're taking a test?
Or EOG.
Yes. This is another comprehension strategy to help you understand what you read and answer the questions. Did we answer any questions today?
Yeah.
Not on
Not
paper
that
with a
much.
bubble, did we? But did we still answer the questions? Because is there a pretty good
Yeah.
chance that they're going to ask you what the main idea is?
We
Yeah.
answered these.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
strategy. Does anybody have any questions? All right, would you like to take this passage home? Well, no, no. You know what? I'm actually making y'all a folder. I haven't given it to you yet, but I'm actually making y'all a folder with all your plant stuff.